So these are the 4 materials that you need for the concrete batching. Here you have water, fine aggregate, coarse aggregate, and the cement. Some of the other materials that you would need are bottom pan, 7 cylinder molds. This is your, this is a scoop here, tamping rod, the slump cone to measure your slump. This is your hard metal bucket that you'll need, and then a trowel, of course.
Alright, so first add the aggregate,
Right now he's going to add the aggregate to the mixer, adding the fine aggregate. When you are adding these aggregate, be careful not to allow the aggregate to spill over. Maybe push them to the side like that. Yep. All right. After the batch has been mixed, or the aggregate has been mixed for 2 rotations, turn it off, add about 1/3 of the water supply, and then we turn the mixer back on for another 2 to 3 rotations. Right now we're going to then add cement slowly. The idea behind adding it slowly is to not have all the fumes and dust get everywhere. Surface, we turn on the mixer. Add the rest of the water. Turn the mixer back on. You want to mix the aggregate, you want to mix it for several minutes. So right now we are going to measure the slump of the concrete, which will determine the workability of the concrete. So you want to first add about 1/3. You want to add 1/3 concrete to make it 1/3 full in the cone. At that point, after the 1/3 has been added, you want to use the tamping rod roughly 20 times to get all the air out of the concrete.
Okay.
Okay, after that is done, add another 1/3, fill up the cone another 1/3 of the way up.
All right, go ahead.
After adding the second 1/3, you will rod again for 20 times. That has already been done. Now we're adding the final 1/3 concrete to get it up to the top of the slump cone. Okay, so after the cone has been filled, you will want to perform the slump test. And then you want to measure the distance from the highest point up to the cone. So that is roughly a 6-inch slump. Here's the bottom here, up to there.
trying to...
After performing the slump test, you want to then place the concrete back into the drum mixer.
No.
You want to remix the concrete inside the drum.
How many times? It doesn't
Roughly
matter.
a few minutes. So now we are getting the unit weight of the concrete. We want to fill up the metal bucket here. We want to fill up the bucket 1/3, just like the slump test.
So now?
From there, we will rod another 20 to 25 times to get any excess air out. Again, fill up until the bucket is 2/3 full.
So when you do the rodding, make sure, you know, more like uniform. Okay. Okay. Because you are trying to kick out all the air bubble, right? So that's going to be more like uniform.
For the final 1/3, you want to make sure to overfill the bucket. Okay, after the final rodding, you want to level the concrete with the given trowel.
Does it have any help with that?
Yeah, sorry.
You're gonna measure the... Okay.
So before you do fill up the containers, the cylinders with the concrete, you want to label them properly. So for instance, section 101-1 would be your section and then group number. Empty the unit weight bucket concrete back into the mixer. Turn it back on for a few more minutes to fill 3 cylinders. This is just for demonstration, but you guys will be, the class will be filling 7 cylinders. You also want to fill the cylinders 1/3 full. Of course, rod for 25 times. Be sure to use the smaller tamping rod shown here.
Okay, Omar, fill in all the way. Okay.
Again, just like the unit weight bucket test and the slump test, you want to fill to the very top, overflowing, rodding the last third 25 times.
Okay. So now we need to put it back into the concrete room, right?
Cylinders have been filled with the concrete. You want to let them sit overnight for 24 hours. At that point, you will break the plastic separated from the concrete. So after the 24-hour curing inside the cylinder, you will want to break out the plastic piece, and this has already been done. But to do so, you use this tool here and a hammer, and you want to get in between the concrete and the plastic rim At that point, you can then gently, this should be something like your final product. You want to place in the bath to cure for 7 days.